Okay, and we are live. Okay, welcome everyone to the book launch for Watch Night by Cyrée, Jarelle Johnson. Thank you for coming out on this Sunday. My name is Greg Newton. I am the co-founder of the Bureau of General Services Queer Division, along with my partner, Donnie Jokum. Our volunteer today is George Edwards, helping us out. And the Bureau is an all-volunteer organization. So we always have a suggested donation of $10, but we say give what you can, if you can. And if you'd rather support us by buying books, that is entirely legitimate. But I'll pass around the bag, and there's some change in there. I'm going to skip the readers. And you can also give on Venmo if that's your preference, or for those of you online, and that's at BGSQD. And you'll see my name, Greg Newton, because I can't figure out how to get rid of that and just make it the Bureau. So there it is. But it is going to the Bureau, not to me personally. If you're not already on our email list and you would like to be, you can sign up for that at the back of the room or on our website, which is bgsqd.com. Those 5 letters all around you, everywhere you look. And you'll get an email every other Monday about upcoming events. And our regular bookstore hours are Wednesdays through Sundays from 1 to 7 p.m. And then we often stay open late when we have events. So before I bring up Dante from Nightboat Books, I just wanted to read a land acknowledgement and a call for a ceasefire. So the Bureau acknowledges that our organization operates on the unceded land of the Munsee Lenape. We encourage you to join the Bureau in signing up to make a monthly donation to the American Indian Community Houses Mannahatta Fund. The Mannahatta Fund, according to its website, is an invitation to all settlers and non-native people who wish to acknowledge the legacy of theft and genocide that comprise the history of New York City and the United States. And you can find out more at mannahattafund.org. We also want to recognize that today, March 10th, is the 156th day of Israel's genocidal campaign against the Palestinian people, funded by our tax dollars and enabled by our government's unwavering support. We hope that you will join us in calling for an immediate permanent ceasefire, an end to the siege, and an end to the occupation in order to stop the collective punishment of the Palestinians and to ensure the swift delivery of much needed food, water, medicine, fuel, and medical aid to the people of Gaza. And now I am happy to welcome Dante Silva from Nightboat Books to the mic, and they'll be introducing our readers. Thank you very much.
Can you all hear me? Okay. Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you, George, for being here. Thank you to all of you. I know it's a rainy Sunday afternoon, but I am so excited to celebrate Cyrée, and thank you to our other readers as well. Cyrée will be introducing all of you. We have corrected copies that do not say this page is left intentionally blank for all of you that we're excited about. So I'll just be giving a very abridged introduction for Cyrée and for Watch Night, which is out in a little bit less than a month, a little less than a month, or maybe a little bit over a month. Either way, it's coming out in April from Nightboat Books, so do look out for that. The title Watch Night of this collection refers to a spiritual practice of prayer and communal song. All of those have a place in Cyrée's work. This is poetry as devotional practice, an ode to different found forms of Black survivance, forms of radical relationality and reciprocity. There's this quote that I love by Cyrée, and I read it at Segway, and I'm going to read it again. When watch night breaks and we're all still together, we will make new promises, make love all night, then lose our tempers, drink to sway, fuck all night, and not be sweet about it neither, just to be together. Watch Night also won the James Laughlin Prize, awarded for a second book of poetry. And the judges wrote that the poems in this book traverse the space between the confessional, the historical, the mythopoetic and the speculative. And I love those words, mythopoetic and speculative. They feel so apt, so right. Watch Night approximates these practices of living that it seeks to render, to remember, to redraw, to take with us. And it's so delightful. It points us in the direction of all of these other worlds and promises us that they are reachable. So I'm so excited about this. I hope you are too. And with that, I'm so pleased to present Cyrée. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cyrée. Thanks for being here for the release of my second book of poetry. I don't know why I'm holding onto this microphone like it's just for dear life. Just something. Yeah, I'm gonna break my moratorium of reading things off of my phone to introduce some readers. But first I want to say hello to the people on YouTube. Hello. Thank you for being here and on YouTube. I appreciate you. I appreciate the folks who are here in person. It took me about 5 years to write Watch Night. And apparently that's how long it takes me to write a book of poetry. Anything else, I can write a lot quicker, but not that. And it was an interesting exercise in psychedelics, of course, and also grief. But I didn't expect to be writing about quarantine while I was in quarantine. And that was something that surprised me during the process. So thank you for reading my sad gay book. First is Danilo Mercado, a poet, a curator, a critic living on occupied land, interested in language's potential for revealing tenderness, erasure, and relationships to power. A 2020 to 2021 Poetry Project Emerge Surface B Fellow, their writing has been featured in Poem a Day, Art in America, Art Papers, Hyperallergenic, Movements Journal, The Recluse, Gender Fail, No Dear, and Teo Literary Magazine, among others. They are the author of the collection This Is Your Receipt and Is Not a Ticket for Travel, Faint Line Press 2023, and The Chaplets Wavy in Its Heat, and To Be Elsewhere, Ghost City Press Summer Series 2022-2023. Danilo is producer of public programs at Brooklyn Museum with M. Marie Cole, co-hosts the queer reading publication and workshop series Exquisites. His most recent project is the Long Poem Support Group, a monthly gathering space co-organized with Rye Cook. They are working to show up with care for their communities. Welcome, Danilo.
Thanks so much, Cyrée. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, the Bureau and NIPO, and thank you also both for calling for a ceasefire and also signing on to Pact B. And let's keep encouraging all our arts and cultural organizations to do the same. I'm going to start out with a new sonnet, relatively new sonnet. It's called In Their Eyes. In today's episode of Look How I'm Being Perceived, the barista calls me champion, not once, but twice. And you wonder, what gender is that really? And think of that song by Redacted with the sample chorus by Steely Dan, which you only know because you looked it up for the poem. Isn't there that RuPaul song with the same name? So maybe the gender is up for discussion beyond some marked winnings, not just singular, but of a series, diligent and focused in one direction, as one is sometimes. And the prize is not just to win, but to be looked at or upon or to or for. Two pieces from this book. This is Your Receipt, and it is not a ticket for travel. And the first is a little haiku that I've dedicated to a very special someone. It's called The Secretary of Transportation is Gay. The Secretary of Transportation is gay. So what? All the wood of that cabinet is rot and he hates himself. That's and now a longer piece in the book that I, for this occasion and because of the occasion of our present, have extended. So I'll read some new stanzas from it. It's called Fair, and it starts with two epigraphs. One by Cal Crow Lopez from his poem Petty. And Cal writes, if you wouldn't call rules that make theft make sense an emergency, then you might be confused how the door should be used. And the second epigraph is from Tourmaline, a tweet from 2020 that reads, when we say abolish the police, we also mean the cop in your head and in your heart. It's called Fair. Moving across lines should be free, of course. All should be able to travel if they need or want, find seats among metal and plastic without having to choose between a gallon of milk and paying the so-called flat rate always going up. Swipe or tap. Fares used to be less, started at 5 cents, 1.50 in 2000, 2.50 to 2015. Fares used to be stored at 370 J Street, downtown Brooklyn, basement money room, up until 2006 when the new trucks armored. All the ads glow with the newest deal. Each week, every ride after your 12th is free. Tap your fares away, the sign suggests. Let us do the math, they promise. Tap, 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 ka-ching, they explain. Unironic fourth-month pilot, calculated effort responding to ridership unstable, and by ridership, I mean their profit. Imagine the pandemic losses, TAP campaign marketed as ease, and worse, considered enough for equity as they consider another raise next year. After the many steps to find one, you stare down the up button long ago pressed and wait for that mechanical box to rise, to elevate from below and stop for you. Doors open, stench even through the mask, maybe liquid on the floor too, but you board anyway. Slowly descend the platform to wait again, counting the blinking map lights, staring to see just how many stops are just stairs, to see just how far you have to go. MTA announces security cameras at all 472 stations, deployed more quickly and at much lower costs, thanks to our incredible workforce. Cameras come in two forms, those that broadcast in real time to the security center and those that record locally and provide material that can be retrieved quickly and used in later investigation of crimes. Some live cams spot suspicious packages and other activities that require response. We look to restore confidence in the system. Safety and security are top concerns for our customers as they return. We at the MTA, together with the NYPD, are driven to deliver. The NYPD has been aggressively investigating every crime. If you are a criminal who preys on those who use our system, you will have your image captured and put on the express track to justice. It's a real line from a press release. All of the last two stanzas were. The image, I didn't have to make any distinguish. I think just say what they, say the quiet thing out loud. The image will be delivered to the police and the police will use it to find you. The cops in my head watch from the plexi booth to make sure I've tapped my 275 to ride and that I'm not considering twisting any of my limbs over the stainless steel turnstiles or opening the red, white lettered emergency door to avoid what's fair. Even imagined, those pesky officers have me looking over my shoulders, paying their salary, safety, and protests, each blurring in motion. 245 million lost from subways, 205 million from buses, 25 million from railroads, estimated fare losses, call it evasive species. So what? It's a fraction of the whole budget, 18.5 billion, 12% of subriders not paying, and quote unquote blue ribbon panel called to examine. Gothamists ask if people feel like suckers for paying, and why pay when you can just jump? The door's open, I'm going through. And some new stanzas from like literally yesterday. Ever-caring Kathy deploys 750 National Guard members into the subway to join an additional 250 cops responding to quote-unquote serious crime, which in reality is down 63% since 1997, but these broken windows don't need actualities. Kathy's quote, not going to talk about statistics. She's going to talk about feelings and emotion. This next part of the poem isn't a poem at all. These are literal reminders of your rights. No, you never have to agree to a bag check on the subway. No, you can always opt to leave the system without explanation. No, officers are only allowed to search before the turnstiles, not after. No, that searches are only supposed to be for weapons or explosives, not drugs or anything else. Kathy is asked, what happened if we don't want our bags checked? She responds, then go home. You're not taking the subway. And look at what we look at each day. Ads or maps or poems or each other or not. Look what we can take into our own hands. In this time when public services are being cut and money is being sent overseas to fund war in our names, we want to take back that public space, the artists say. And they have been twisting screws to open plexi covers and inserting not ads for products, but reminders. 250 people killed a day, 36 plus hospitals bombed. Looking to kill healthcare workers, look no further. With your tax dollars, these guys get the job done. These guys in white coats and ties, ice cream licking Joe right in the middle, smiling. Artists install a timeline of all the stops of genocide in case you need a map for where we are and in which direction we are moving. And a quote from a mother in Gaza, all my beloveds are gone. Okay, thank you. This is my last poem. It's called Read This Before I Come Up. Danilo Machado has, in previous bios, listed various boring adjectives and identity groups that he hasn't found quite useful for some time. Danilo used to be a pleasure to have in class. Danilo learned script and not script, but handwrites in a secret, mostly legible third thing. Danilo's right-handed. Do people disclose things like that? I guess I'm being brave and vulnerable and at the very least forthcoming. Danilo doesn't have anything forthcoming except for plans. Danilo published some very good early reviews in Redacted, but has, since the great Instagram fight of 2021, removed them from their bio. Danilo does not have an agent. Should Danilo get an agent? Vote now on your phones. Yeah. Danilo woke up early today. Thank you very much, if you don't count daylight savings. Danilo really does think of uppercase Danilo as a separate person. Only on forms does he stylize his name like that anymore and include his mother's maiden name with the 2 R's, which she also dropped. Danilo hopes the government knows not that much about him personally, only the lies he tells for safety. The rewriting of a bio for each requester is like the body growing and shrinking with time, like cells regenerating or forming tumors. Do you think there's room in regular bios for jokes, plural? Asking for a friend. Stanzas and bios are full of lines and punches anyway. Danilo's usual bio is full of a lot of things, perhaps including it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Tina. Okay, Zephyr Lazowski is a writer from the Great Dismal Swamp in North Carolina. I will have to read my own swamp poem that's in my in WATCHNIGHT about the other Dismal Swamp, which is in New Jersey. So from swamp to swamp. A 2023 NYSCA Fellow in Nonfiction and a 2023 Queer Arts Fellow, Zephyr is the author of 2 poetry collections, Blood Box, Black Lawrence Press, 2019, and Girl Work, Noemi Press, 2024. Her essay collection about horror movies, exes, and love is forthcoming from Harper Perennial in fall 2025. Welcome, Zach.
Just hold the mic to be conscious of the diverse array of heights of this reading. It's so good to be here. I'm so excited to be helping launch Watch Night into the world. Everyone can hear me all right? Yes? Okay, perfect. Hi, people on the computer. Hope y'all are doing well. I'm sort of inspired by Daniela's work. I'm going to start with an analogy. After. We live in a state of emergency, emergent. Loss, he said at the funeral, measures a life. I dream of things we won't miss. Capitalism, colonialism, never death. Death marks tiredness. Death happens when the work is done, but the work is never done. The world is still here. Even the earth is tempted by eternity. Even birds grieve. Hey there. Temperature check. I'm going to read a couple of sad poems and then end with a horny poem to convey the arc of my life. Is that good for everyone?
Sounds great.
These are all poems from Girl Work, which is my collection that's launching here at the Bureau in just a few weeks. Cyrée also wrote an incredible blurb for it. Thank you. After I become well, I throw myself into the well hole. I spent years not remembering, and once I did, it was a riverbed. It was a flood. It was high water jeans. I spent years trying to become a little saintly girl and threw my cell phone into the French Broad River, threw my cell phone down the well, threw my throw up in my hair. Are you listening? For a decade, I devoted myself only to beauty. I worked at it, made a poem about my beauty, made many. What can we do with the beauty that's done unto us? I've tried to be a better person and failed. Do you remember the woods? My favorite artist said, I tried to be a better person and failed again and again. He said it on 15,000 separate pieces of paper. And this is why he's my favorite artist. He painted millions of girls and they all looked like me. Blonde mop of hair, thin angel of a dicklet, born bright rompers, the flood of them. Do you remember the woods? My favorite artist painted until he died, which refuses a logical end to it all. And what you did in it, do you remember what you did? In the woods, I threw my cell phone down the well. There's no toilet nearby, so I threw my throw up in my hair. I laced up my boots and undid my entire body. I don't need to tell you the ways I have failed. I've tried to undo it all, but all my little genders squeezing into the well hole. And do you remember what you did? It was an abattoir. It was a well hole, a grove of laurels, your hands. Maybe the better world smells like peppermint, where we get justice for all those years we wore high water jeans. All the justices still seeping out. The well, the water, the birds calling. We were in the woods. I am talking to you. Look at my dazzling eyes. Do you remember what you did? Maybe in the better world, you are listening. I throw my cell phone in the well. Maybe there's no remembering at all. Maybe after we give up on beauty, we enter a better world. I've given up on beauty, but when did the betterness leave? On vampires. It can be sad, but also a little spooky. The dialectic. The man had a big cake, which is how we knew he was a bad man. Big house, shiny teeth. When hooking an earring through a hoop of cartilage, my eyes snags the mirror and I can't look away, trapped in a memory box. He had a lot of ways to avoid facing punishment. Redirected wealth, moved his urns of earth around, ran a tongue across teeth. The first rich man I ever met had sad eyes and shiny teeth. He was actually a boy. In his house in the swamp, he had everything.
The difference between having everything and having some things is overstated, but I will still state it again and again. The bad man got to hold on to everything because no one talked about his wealth. Or if they did, he said he was a false rich, said he was just like us. The bad man had a cape, or maybe a thick coat, or maybe pale skin, or gray hair, or a tan. I wrote this initially about a president, and I thought about updating the description, but they all kind of look the same, don't they? The rich boy lived in a house in the swamp with everything, and everything he served was under season, but still tasted of garlic. Having dinner at his place, I couldn't believe it. I am one of the good ones, he told me. When I enter the house, it looks like a big yellow mouth, and I go and go again. The thing about bad men is that they always appear to the ones in power to be doing the right thing. The boy's fingers, the boy's teeth, a billowing cape, a procession of women. I'm not interested in anything claiming its own goodness. In the house, in the swamp, in the woods, in his bedroom, in my sleep, his wealth. It was everywhere. I like this freaky floorboard. It's like part of the reading too. One more sad poem and then sex, or just straight to the fucking? Wow. It's a choice, isn't it? Okay, I guess I'll edge y'all. Have them first. Girl work. Growing up, I hungered for the taste of sameness, so I stayed hungry. I ran miles each day. Petulant, I demanded gifts, but could not even love myself. Food turned to bark in my mouth. My dreams were thorned with ghosts. I sprouted hair and shaved off hours in the bathroom, willing my rib cage to shrink. I called this care, but who hasn't ever made a horrible mistake in naming? I called this beauty, but who hasn't felt fear instead of awe at something uncrushable? When I was young, I was a wolf. I trusted the man because he was pink. He was practiced in being pink, and I thought could teach me the same thing. I meant to say I was a girl, but I'm trying to seem more menacing than I am. He tied me to his lips. He held my wrists and told me it was love. The man was cruel, and that was also the lesson. And before I end, I just want to say thank you again for having me. One of Cyrée's many talents as a writer, besides a piercing and like political lyric voice, is his ability to write a good sex poem. You're really good about writing about fucking. So I wanted to end with one of those of my own. It's called Sexual History. It's a medley, if you will. It's 2013 and the forsythia pushes against the window. It's 2015 and the air conditioner is clanking. It's 2021 and the bedroom lights are out, low slit of a moon barely visible. And we are both so wet. Kindness doesn't always feel safe, but still I love your spit-slit fingers, ringlets dredging the brow, little thin scars around the hairline, eyes swimming in hazel. There's a snowstorm, so of course we spend the whole day in, and you eat me out 3 times, holding my body afterwards, like a flower, coiled on a stalk. I like your paint-chipped toenails, broad shoulders, small teeth. You like everything about me, so I sink myself in your arms and call it comfort. I've done this thousands of times, and there's a knack to it. The first thing, to not desire too much. The second, to be unquenchable anyway. Who am I fooling with my talk about restraint? I'm insoluble in want. When I ride you, a locket clicks shut and my flesh feels filled. We submerge for so long our fingers prune, and the center of me spills into what's left tugging at the thread. It's already almost over, but tell me in my prettiest chiffon this can last. Tell me in your best Prince impression you'd do anything for me. The wind is yelping, and oh, touch me until the bell turns over and blows past the horizon of our limits. We're here now. Grab me, ride me, bring me out until we remember nothing at all.
No. Hooray, Zephyr. Thank you so much. Everyone get girl work. I'm super excited about it and it's a beautiful color and it's very, very good. Which is an excellent combination. The next up is Giselia Rebecca Hughes, is a working poor Afro-Caribbean descended writer, editor, access provider, and interdisciplinary teaching artist surviving in the Bronx. Her practice resides in the lineage of Black and debilitated aesthetics and linguistics. Giselia's poetry has been nominated for Best of the Net and published in Apogee Journal, Massachusetts Review, The Poetry Project, Split This Rock, Black Flash Magazine, Lesta Magazine, Jewish Currents, and Ocean State Review. Her chapbook, I Need Fucking Space Like Fuck, is forthcoming via Boundaries Net, a PXBK-based publishing initiative. Welcome, Giselia. I'm gonna, whoa. We're gonna hold this. Hi, everyone online. I hope you're comfortable and happy. Thank you, Cyrée. Thank you, the center. Thank you, Zephyr. Thank you, Danilo. Thank you, Nightboat. Like, so happy to be here and to celebrate Cyrée, who I met literally 2 weeks before COVID started. We met at a Audre Lorde reading at a magic shop in Brooklyn, and we made candles. And so I actually want to read that poem. Let's see. Well, okay, hold on. I'm bad at a phone. Sorry, y'all. Okay. So this poem is called Eating at Another Table. It is a redaction of an Architecture Digest article about, what was that movie? Parasite. And that seems kind of fitting right now. So let's see where it is. That's the question. I'm sorry, I'm really bad at this. Okay, here we go. Eating at Another Table. Direct a genre, a haunting, win honor of a kind master, and end will leave your mouth ape. Direct a laugh, define it. Scary, you feel a mix of emotions, but think, I want to feel like a portal of time. Story class, divide families, meet in a semi-basement kind of home, common because it is realistic, because it reflects the psyche of tell. A translator, still half overground. There's hope and still access to light, and you haven't completely fallen to yet. This mixture, this fear that you can lower, I think, to how the protagonists feel. In order to get it right, design empty towns set to be torn down and copy them. Set traces of people who lived via translator, ghost towns, model old bricks and empty houses, recreate them. Intricate backstories for fictional neighbors inform the fake. One particular is children, cities to collect reusable garbage to make living design. Other characters include a shaman and someone unemployed. Want to be realistic? Realize we built on a set. Eventually, the wealthy introduced their center of action in place society and dwell their want to show off and garden me an empty lot. And we built on a sound stage with plenty of secrets and much sneaking around. So design checks as we with simple logics in mind. If one character is down, can the character see? Aesthetically, create, house an avaricious elitist, design like an architect. We so real, we actually live in it. The result is wood, glass lines, and silhouettes. We purpose living, room appreciate. The designer gave a wall of glass looking out and outfitted it with a television. I wanted living, room, and one impressive picture says status, and some appear real. Deal an image of stainless steel, form an artist, hang on one wall. We look like a massive wave, start from a throne, quiet. Living space does more than provide pitch, characterize dark.
Home drives plot to an expected place, furnished, lit, set. So the twist says houses should feel mundane and comfortable and threatened when we feel fear. Okay. So I've never read this out loud. I kind of like wrote it when I was stoned in Dumbo. Recently, I got I had access to my first art studio in Dumbo, and that was a sensory hell, but it was also really cool. So I wrote this on my way to the bus stop. Waiting for the bus in Dumbo, sesh ends at 16:18. Big ear Disney studio digs be damned with the gentrification's industry bumping through this chest. Over the tops ain't canceling shit. Refusal to move is political. People's piling out a coach bus, a day worker gnashes an apple, a woman smiles with her gums, so many teeth showing clean. Dumbo smiles, genocide, ecocide, 2 trees, a pairing scheme, a trap. There's a triangle of us at the stop. Pedestrians nervous looking out for white. Uptown don't do that in the same way, but whatever, that's nigga shit. Spatial statecraft be a trip, or I suppose around these parts, it's vacation. An absence of Kincaid kind, neglectful avoidance, the assumption of luxury equating deservingness, and all that viral chatter. People ain't masked for whole matter. Looking up, bright smiles. Teeth. Okay, and now I'm gonna read from I Need Fucking Space Like Fuck, which is such a silly little title, but it's a lot of fun. And 1 second, let's see. This is not my preparedness, Lord. Okay. I'm going to read the epigraph, one of the epigraphs to the book. Ontogenesis exceeds identity. We want to spill beyond the captivity of being seen. Bayo Akomolafe, who is a really amazing writer. And this one's called Impasto Silk Press. Hot irons whistling to the tune of loose. Screws of frayed wire sparking, a metal plate rattling, sticky, stringy, melting fiber. The switches stuck up high, scorch saying, it's a press. Damn this kitchen, damn this dress. Yeah, it's flattened and ruined. Let's read an American sonnet. Which one though? All right. I'll read American Sonnet 2. This one's for the designer of my book, Justin Moore and Douglas Kearney. He who, I'm out of breath. Blind Sunny sneezing, Abigail's proximating to lean trust and doubt, harnessing belief doctors won't black her to be death. Is that right? With yeah, sure, death spoke. Here's a Tylenol. Another utterance within this place, this time, these sicknesses, irradiating structural collapse. When they say Black capitalists, you wonder if they mean we should manufacture social death too, if it means getting to call king, hoard wealth, wear 6 gold rings. You wonder if they mean it. But the fog forms a tugness, disambulatory, roughness. All these sidewalks need fixing, prefix like, hardness is the appetizer, dinner gets worse. Billy's insane memory blasted brain zooted among the capped flocked fleece of the working class. Elsewhere, proud slayers exit their layers, lower our wages and laugh. And because I'm like notoriously never writing about sex, I'm gonna read the one thing I wrote about sex called shrinkflation. 2 friends, 30-something, and momentarily contented with the guarantee of an uncommon but filling meal, stand next to a 4-burner gas stove. They observe the bubbling pot of beef stew and say, it's coming along good. Beef's tender. That's why you don't skim the surface immediately. Keep it a little greasy. Greasy? Yeah, greasy. Like, see the spots on the top of, see the spots of oil on top? has slip, like the slip of a dress. What does a dress have to do with this pot? I've eaten someone out of a dress before. Okay, you got me there. The stew continues cooking and the two friends move to another room, attend to another make. Although not out of the limits of creative possibility, no one accounted for it is presently wearing a dress. Thank you.
I'm going to adjust something there. So as. I'm ambitious with this, but I'm gonna do it. Ah! But I'm gonna do it folk singer style from the side. Thinking now that I'm in my Indigo Girls era. My whole life, to the chagrin of my partner, and the chair is broken. So, naturally. Yeah, it's a little funky, yeah. As long as I don't, no, I can't. I can't. Because that'll be it, like, that'll be something I can't come back, just falling out of this chair at the release of my second book. Hello, internet, where I live, my hometown, the internet. Hi, I'm Cyrée Girl Johnson. Yeah, I'm a poet, spiritualist from Skyway, New Jersey. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else important for me to say about myself right now. My book is upside down. Thank you to all, thank you to Danilo and to Zephyr and to Giselia for being here to celebrate my book. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to everyone in the, see, look at how in the computer, everything I'm wearing is made of polyester. It's very slippery. So I'm just gonna start with, let's keep the sex poems going, because actually this is a much less horny book than the last book I wrote. It is so much less horny. Except for the earth. It's very horny for the earth. Okay, so this is a continuation of my doppelganger series, which is going to continue only for one more book, but it's older than all of the other doppelgangers. And it is called Doppelganger with Seagulls and Open Legs. And one thing I'll say about the Doppelganger series is that it is about a certain kind of man from New York who is toxic and beautiful and makes you write poems about him, but who you cannot be with long term. So if you are one of these New York type of men watching today, just know that you are terrible and I love you. And I have written all of these poems about a specific type of man from Brooklyn specifically. Okay. The trumpet for the love work inherent in rolling a blunt. An age of praise songs to a tight blunt, the attentive tongue damp and flicking as though searching for pleasure. A painful coy foreplay, owner of any necessary spin, your Coney Island sugar string of pure pink wind. It's perplexing, but I think I want to say the simple thing. Hoops carved into oiled sand with calloused toe or battered bandaged hands. When I gurgled up my terror geyser, ejaculate and ambergris smeared the project of love. When you breathe, stale inside our popular elevators, I feel my newly buoyant chest. Oh mine, oh dear, there is a sand-sucked portal to our stop on the train before we board the green, and there's room enough for butterscotch again. Salt on your mouth from the rim of your cup, lips parted again by the sopping bit. It's precious, but I think I want to say the sinful thing. JD Stokely, if you're watching from home, I want you to know I put on my glasses just from you because I didn't want to hear about how I never wear my glasses and I squint because I cannot see. So I am wearing my glasses today. And so this is a book that is really about grief. It's about death. It's about necropolitics overall. It is about the pandemic, but maybe not as directly as some books about the pandemic. And it's also about the erotics of petite ménage, the erotics of race and racism. And so here's a poem about that. It's a sonnet. If you know someone who takes interesting work and is not a Zionist organization, looks like that's hard to get into a single package. This is a poem called Eating the Other. It's after bell hooks. And it starts with the epigraph, Master aided me when I was meat, by Vincent Woodard from The Delectable Negro. Nat Turner's body is long devoured, as were mummies and unfortunate men. I'm sure some slave masters ate their own kin, caught them off guard, leapt up, overpowered them with a group like some fucking cowards. They tasted human blood. They killed again. At the sight of black flesh, they eased a grin. They interred the scraps beneath the flowers that brightened the plantation door. A horror, yet also a treat. A slave turned to meat. If your ship spears no whale, choose the martyr, claim delusion, inhale all you can eat. The perverse race record never falters. As you wish it reads, but don't waste the feet. I don't know what people's thing is about inherited rhyme and verse. Like what's people's thing with form? Like, why does everybody hate form? Like, form is good. Good. Most of the poetic verse in English is formal verse. Like, we have been writing in free verse for that long. Free verse is great. Don't get me wrong. That's free verse. Free verse, but you know, like, what is the hatred of form for? I don't get it. I feel like reviews are coming in, thankfully. Everybody wants to see reviews. There is no bad press. Thank you, Dante, for that. But I don't understand. What's the thing about form? If you know, you please feel free to tell me after the show. Put it in the comments. This one is free verse to prove that I mean what I say. I mean it. I think that free verse is good, but I don't understand the hatred. Okay. It's called Ugly, and it's about my grandfather, whose nickname was Ugly, or is ugly, because I guess he's alive. How am I don't know? I'm gay, so I don't know if he knows when I'm alive either. I don't know when he knows I'm alive. We don't know about each other. We are strangers at this point. Ugly. On the outside, my grandfather austere, wavy hair, hanging on blackish church shoes, past 80 years old, still making babies with bottle blonde women. Ugly, my grandmother calls her husband down the hall, skin jaundiced yellow. Her sister-in-law's gold tooth capped with a cutout heart floating above her sickbed, ugly like it was his name, ugly like what made him ugly. Cadillac man, who are you? Do you know? And why do you travel so far to be ugly to me? You brought your blonde girlfriend to your wife's funeral, ugly. Ugly, your nickname for fair and foul reasons, but yours forever ugly. How your mother let you go and raised the others, ugly. Ugly how the pressure that sculpted you split you. Ugly the center of the rock we named you. Ugly the America that made you, then said you was ugly right up in your face every day, Cadillac man. Here's a sestina. There are 3 sestinas in the book. Yeah, that's true. And then there's also my favorite, which is a villanelle into a sonnet in the back. And I really like that one. It's called Something Very Long. I love a long title, but this one is called Cadillac. Those dragged along Earth's spine to Savannah, glided back home, miraculous in flight, rose from the auction block, sweet falsetto, a howl that split a gold road through red sun that would never open their backs. Perhaps my ancestor lost her dance steps into the air. Oh well, sometimes it be like that. The air too hot to ride, she says, yet Savannah slid below the bodies of friends, perhaps the women she slept near, but they could fly. Lacking any reasonable plan, sun glowering towards her with pinched lips, a falsetto voice walking from the kitchen, falsetto through gap teeth, not stealing, sucking the air, forced through her mouth's pinpricked, haloed by sun glow that swole her life to ruins. Savannah sold her children from under her skirts. To fly seemed the pride of a kicked dream, but perhaps there is something to want even here, perhaps love or sex, or God, her man, falsetto in the woods church. She likes that, still can't fly. Heartbreak day to gulf or grave, not the air around her that hovers, spits Savannah at her as her back bends. Lo, the red sun, with lips to her neck. Generation sun glow grew into gold, into rain perhaps, down the windows of cars to Savannah, a Cadillac. Brakes never falsetto, always shine like buffed leather, cheat the air of ego, lifting up to pilfered flight. Our lives better than death, but worse than flight, a tan stolen from milder northern suns, but breath still beaten out our lungs, the air too weak to hold us still. We think perhaps this year will change hope to fact. Falsetto cry out pews from Philly to Savannah. The coastal birds at falsetto pitch fly to mock us, but perhaps the reborn sun over Savannah will lift us to the air. Yes, okay, this is the third and final Sistina, and then I'm gonna read a little bit of Psychedelia, the long poem. It's very long. I think it's 70 pages long. It could be longer than that. It's very, very long, and but a good kind of long. I have to say that because I wrote it, you know, but I think it is good. I do, obviously. Yeah. So the way that apparently I've been writing books is that there are some supporting context in lyric poems, and then there's a very long serial poem that links through the books. So Psychedelia is the second part of Machine of Mahogany and Bronze, which will be finished in my final book in this, the third book in this series. Hopefully not my final book. I hope not. That's ominous. Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, I hope not. That would be a bummer. Anyways, this one is called Old Familiar. And it's apocryphal because I read online 2 places that High John the Conqueror had a crow as a familiar named Old Familiar, but I couldn't corroborate it with any Black sources. But then it just intrigued me because I love crows. I love crows, but Zora Neale Hurston did not include it in her stories about High John the Conqueror, right? So it was like a hoodoo mystery. So I called my my poem Old Familiar. When watch night breaks and we're all still together, when the cobweb shadow is sucked from the corners of last year and the house glossed in easy tomorrows, we eat and we become a single thing. Forgetting the turn of the card, so far behind us as to be before us again. Tonight we'll make new promises, make love all night, then lose our tempers, drink to sway, fuck all night and not be sweet about it neither, just to be together. And if this one texts an ex or falls off the wagon again, if we forget the slip of your sweet in light of your corners, it's no such a thing. We'll come back to love. We'll turn to you and listen to your song tonight, and tomorrow we'll find a way to retire the habit. Apologize tomorrow and so sincerely as to flush the hurt. We people of night runs to wood panel liquor stores, people of been turned out experience, people of sweat, people of put together then disheveled come morning. Joy dotting each corner as we walk home in or with our finest. Next year again. Next year, I'll plant the special morning glories, strip again in a once weed-owned stamp of dirt, save seed for tomorrow in smug assumption it will come, and it will come. Corners pressing out the old ways, evil or divine, multiplying like night across the meridian. The sap that snaps us each together. The vast drumbeat of gravity that hems us up each in turn. Next year, we'll learn to ride it in our stirrups, ankles turning, steer us past the feudal present. So what, you got drunk again? Next year, we'll meet up after the meetings, work it out together. We are your community. We love you. Call me late tomorrow or whenever. I know the hardest part can be the nights. Maybe you don't feel it yet, but I think you turned the corner. Hark the new year in sequence, ringing her bell in the corner of the sweat fog room. The clock hands kiss. You turn to face me, your lips ablush across my neck until night answers twilight's questions, then snore and wait of night again. Might as well sleep. You'll head to work at dawn tomorrow. I'll watch your eyes flicker in the cold room. Let's stay together. I wasn't sure, but now I'm certain. I see and love your corners. Thank you for spending New Year's with my people. Their skin turned glow in faint streetlight. My people, whose glory rivals the night. So that's is Psychedelia. And yes, it is about LSD, of course. But it's also about psilocybin. So the diversity of origin materials. But mostly, like all of my long poems, it is an opportunity to be psychic in a different way. For those of you who don't know, I do run a card reading service. I have for the last 13 years. And so I'm always looking for ways to be predicting in new forms. And I think my long poems offer me a lot of room to predict. I wish this one was a little less predicting because I started writing it in 2018. About a time where the insurance companies merged and everyone was in quarantine for a mysterious and potentially fake illness. I don't think of it as fake. Don't get it that way. But like, you know, obviously I don't. But yeah, no, totally vax. Yeah, a disease that was disproportionately hitting certain populations than other and accelerating both climate change and gentrification. So here's that book. Yeah, and it's called Psychedelia, and this is the beginning of it. As quick and quiet as a small yet precious object swallowed by deep water. Whispers everywhere, lips flutters, asking their lovers who will survive America. We name those already struck from the list, each crisis punctuated by a crisis. North Jersey's factories blank as dead faces, ports with no dockers, an unshakable aura of shortage and lack, the softest erosions ferried us to this shore. Are we fragmented, atomized, and blown away? They slashed the knit of our deft nets, Callan Lord, women organized against rape, women against abuse, Planned Parenthood, streetwise and safe, safe outside the system, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, Disability Services, the VA, CHIP, WIC, SNAP, reentry programs, ESL, Job Corps, senior centers, school breakfast programs, school lunch programs, no grand declaration, but no money either. Even those contested spaces, the snake-led nonprofits evaporated. Only then by windswept fiat, first the things which no one could agree, the lifestyle questions that unite traditional Americans, those death machines, those family breakers, the panic generators. We embraced the hedonism that is our birthright. We hid in our parades, play parties, bars, raves, game nights, and in the arms of our lovers. And then the insurance companies merged. We became pre-existing conditions. We extended our run as conditional citizens. Alicia queues 3 hours at the pharmacy behind mothers, their wailing children, and elders whose legs wobble with efforts. The technician snips her insurance card in two, empathetic head nodding, both brown-skinned women filmed with sweat. Now air conditioning isn't expected. They submit to premature summer. She bursts from the store, dark eyes pounding, no diabetes medication, no birth control. She clears her mind for the task ahead, her private backup plan. Who can survive America, an experiment in sparking wires, poisonous spines outstretched for adornment? An elder ascends, crumpled suit and frosted hair, ready for the great nationalist run. He rumbles tyrannical sound, cherub lips and thin eyebrows artlessly plucked. He is braggadocio and bravado to the assenting crowd. He chooses America's survivors with microphone and pen, slow gun and sharp pop. Someone cheers but not here. Someone profits but not us, the casualties. I'll leave it there. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
So, here's a copy of Cyrée's book and Zephyr's book. At the front. Thanks so much. Thanks everyone who joined us online.